Why do we fail to live in the now? I received a call from an old man and he came to see me just now, and the question that he put to me was this: why do we fail to live in the now? Now, this old man has an interesting story. At the age of 18, he left his home, he renounced everything that we call life, gave up on his family, gave up on his career, dreams, goals, desires, whatever it is, and went on in pursuit, as he says, of truth. So he went on from teacher to teacher, from guru to guru, and all those things to be able to find as to what is the truth. And in the process, he did as he was told, which is to give up all his desires and all his goals and all his whatever it is that we call life today. And he thought that he's on the path to discovering truth, and he's lived in that stage for about 50 years. So at about 68, 70 years of age, he happened to see some of these videos and he just came to see me. He said, I liked seeing your videos. It resonates with the way that I think. And I have this question that's been troubling me for the last 40 years. And I'm still in the pursuit of that answer as to why do we fail to live in the now? And it's a very serious question, isn't it? As to why do we fail to live in the now? Why do we fail to live really in this present moment? And that's a question I've been asked many times, but in this conversation with this man, it helped me think, and I told him, let's find out. Let's find out how do people think of life, and let's find out and let's investigate together, and do this with me while you're listening to this. I told him, let's investigate together what people make of life growing up and how do they go about moving from this reality of the now. So we were discussing and we came to this point where I was telling him that people come to educate or confuse life with success. From very early on in our lives, we are told that life is about success or being in a position where you can be called that you have a successful life. Now, what is success? Success, as defined by the dictionary or as defined by our educators or people or society, is essentially a pursuit or a desired aim or result, a pursuit of an end result, a desired goal or a result. Or success is essentially you are leading a successful life when you live in a certain way, which happens to be a definition of what life would look like, what job would look like, what family should look like. And that's how we define success. That's how society defines success for us. And success essentially comes down to attaining something that puts you in a position of power or prestige or authority or accomplishment of some sort or the other. Whether you are in a corporate career, you define success like that, which has ladders, which takes you to certain power, prestige, authority, accomplishment. If you're running your own business, it's power, prestige, authority, or accomplishment. Or accomplishment can also be a satisfaction of having achieved something, which again is an accomplishment. There are people who are not pursuing goals like these, and I often tell them that even the goals that they are pursuing, you could be a homemaker taking care of children, and there's great joy and satisfaction in that life, but even their success or accomplishment or life has been tied down to achieving something for your kids, to raising kids in a certain manner, to managing your house in a certain manner, or to take care of people in your family in a certain manner. So no matter who you are, or whether you're this old man, even there he was in pursuit of an accomplishment of what is life all about, and he made certain sacrifices along the way. So the way that we are brought up and where we are currently, our life is about a pursuit of power, prestige, authority, or accomplishment of some sort of the other. Now, what does this essentially mean? Our life being driven by success or to achieve something or become something in life, what does that essentially mean? At the very first step, it means that we have accepted a certain social structure, doesn't it? That society taught us, or our parents, elders, teachers, educators, friends, family, peer pressure, corporate, bosses, society generally taught us that this is a social structure, this is what life is, and you are leading a good life when you are successful in these parameters. So we essentially accept a certain social structure, which essentially means accepting a social structure essentially means that we have come about to imitate a certain social structure or imitate a way of being. We saw our elders do it, or we saw people that we idolize. You may idolize business people, sports people, musicians, artists, or whoever, and we tend to imitate not their whole personality, but their way of having lived a certain life, which is they achieved this success. So that becomes a realm of possibility. And if I have to be known as successful, or if I have to even feel successful, then that's the level of accomplishment to go to. So we come from accepting a social structure into this imitation zone, or putting it in other words, we conform with the social structure, or imitation leads to conformity. Now, what does this conformity essentially mean? That when we are conforming to a social structure of success, it also means that we are being inconsiderate to the social structure or society, or a part of the society that may prevent us from achieving our goals, desires, aims, ambitions, or whatever. If we look at the world around us, we do that constantly. There are those who can help us or keep us on track with a certain social structure, and that becomes our circle of friends, or circle of influence, or our world, or my society, or my neighborhood, or my office, or my role, or my job, and we confine ourselves to a certain social structure which enables us to succeed. And to the rest of the society, the ones who may be hindering that growth, or the ones that it could be an environment, for example, we are inconsiderate to the environment to achieve our goals. Look at the quality of the air outside, we've ruined it. Look at the quality of water, we've ruined it. Our solution to the quality of air, for example, is to build an air purifier, or our quality to deal with water problem is to build a water purifier. We've just been inconsiderate to the environment. We've been inconsiderate to certain sections of society which might not be in line with this kind of a definition of success. So let's recapture just for a moment. We accepted a social structure, we imitated it, we started conforming with it, which parallelly also means that we were inconsiderate to the nature as a whole, or to life as a whole, or to society as a whole. And this inconsiderate, by definition, obviously means that there's a lack of love, or there's a lack of care or concern for life as a whole. And lack of love or care for, or concern for life as a whole, what I was trying to explain to this old man, is a form of ruthlessness. Success, or achieving an end desired result, and very unconsciously we slip into leading this life of ruth. We're ruthless towards nature, for example. We're ruthless towards certain classes of people, for example, the people who work for us, who are below in the social strata as defined by the society, and we kind of dealing with them ruthless. We are very quick to fire people off, or we are very quick to, there's a beggar knocking on your car window, you'll be very quick to turn your, that's all ruthlessness. It's not that you are doing it deliberately, but it's just the way of the social structure that's built up. It gets us to a point that success becomes an outcome of certain form of ruthlessness. You can't be absolutely on a pedestal of success without having unconsciously done all of this imitation and conformity and lack of love and ruthlessness born into it. And that's the essence, the very essence of success as we know it. Now, at this point in the conversation is where this old man stopped me and said, hey, I agree with what you're saying, but I haven't been ruthless. I suppressed all my desires way back. I haven't even looked at them ever since. It's like I picked them up, locked them in the cupboard, and I wanted to follow the path of truth, which doesn't follow the life that you are telling me. I wasn't being ruthless. And I said, hello, hang on. Suppression of these goals and desires and happiness is no different from a pursuit of these desires and goals and or this form of success or social structure. What you did, my friend, was you took these desires because you were told by someone to do so, and you locked them up and you suppressed them. You were ruthless with your own desires. That's not the way to deal with this. That doesn't get you in the now. Tell a little child to not pick up that piece of glass or a piece of paper. What's going through that child's mind is to only the curiosity to go and feel it and touch it and pick it up. I said that doesn't solve the problem. There is a definition of success. If you were to just look at the word called success and go look at it up online or wherever, success comes from this word called subsucceder in Latin. And that word simply means to come close to, right? And that word means to come close to. So successful life means to come close to life. A successful career means come close to, right? And that is very different from what we have understood life to be. The way we have understood success is to pursue an aim or a result or goals or achievement, whereas success just means come close to. A successful life, in a very simplistic definition or in an actual definition, just means come close to life. And I was trying to tell this old man that your suppression of desire or our sacrifices, right? We confuse this. We are surrounded by these whole business of Gurujis who tell us to be suppression of desire and sacrifice and control and inhibit, and all this does not lead to solving this problem or does not lead us to coming and living in the present. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. The suppression of desire does not help us to look at desire. The pursuit of success doesn't help us to look at success. We are going after it. We spend our whole life living in it, in this circle of greed and unhappiness, and there is a constant pressure and irritation and stress and all the diseases as a result of it. It doesn't help us to look at success, whether it's pursuit of success or suppression of success. Nothing helps us to look at this. The looking means that you look at it as an observer. If I were to just look at success, or if I was to just look at desire and be able to see that I am no different from this word called desire, we will, you know what we will do? We sit in our drawing rooms every single night and we watch the 9 o'clock prime news and we see what's happening in the world. There's ruthlessness and there's violence and there are television debates where people are at each other, and it all may seem very entertaining, and there are problems being discussed, the problems that concern you and me that being discussed, and these problems in those very debates or through those news anchorage doesn't result to any solutions. It's just an entertaining cross debate, one punching the other and the other poking up some pot shots, throwing facts and figures at each other. We watch all this, and at the end of the day, after having watched all of this, what's your conclusion? In your mind, what happens is that in your small little circle, you might be sitting with a friend or a family or a wife or a father, we'll start talking about these politicians or this government, that this is the problem, that's the reason why nothing changes. You almost through this watching or through this experience of this reality of the world, we almost treat ourselves as being separate from the problem. That the problem is that the politician doesn't work. The problem is that the government doesn't work. The problem is that this whole society doesn't know how to elect their leaders. The problem is there are no good people who come for election. The problem is never you, but the problem is you. The problem is not that people are like that. The problem is that the whole society is bred on a certain definition of success, and you and I are no exceptions. We are also bred in that, and everyone is pursuing a certain life which has their goals and desires and end results, and that is the problem. But we can't look at it, because when you look at the problem, what does that mean? That you look internally and you look at this problem of success, of violence, of ruthlessness, of imitation, of conformity, and when you're able to look at it in yourself, you will see that I am responsible for this world, that this problem that exists of violence, of poverty, of conflict, you are responsible. You very much contributed to it. Whether through pursuit or whether like this old man through suppression, you still a contributor to it, because you haven't really dealt with the actual challenge of not having understood life, which is that success in life actually just simply means come close to life. And come close to life means what? Life is abundant. It's all over. It's not just in this body. It's out there in the nature. It's out there everywhere. And come close to life when you're able to look at what my pursuit of successful life or my definition of successful life has created. And if you're able to look at it, the end result of that looking in is that you will take responsibility, that I am responsible for having caused it. And if you can realize and see it within you, that this being, that I am responsible for having created all of this, what's the next logical step? The next logical step is something marvelous that automatically happens. That if you're able to truly feel, and I'm not saying superficially, intellectually, just understand this word called responsibility, no. If you're able to realize in yourself and truly feel that I am responsible for this, marvelously, you simply move into a zone that if I am responsible, then I must do something about it, or then you actually transition into caring for it. The natural progression of taking responsibility, like if you take responsibility for your children, you naturally care for them. You take responsibility for the situation that we have got this society and the world into in, you naturally care for it. And when you are naturally caring for something that is not right, your actions become those of caring not by superficially going and doing something or preaching to 10,000 people or picking up litter from the roads. Caring just means that I start behaving differently towards the society. And amazingly, when you get into the zone of caring, your mind has automatically stopped that definition of success, which was to achieve a desired result or a goal or an aim, and you have started caring for what is the reality. The reality is now, and now is the truth, and you automatically, as a result of having looked at success, as a result of having looked at this being, as a result of having looked at the actual thing, not the definition, not what society has told us, you've moved into a zone of caring, or caring for the reality, or caring for the truth, and that care is now, because the future chatter in the mind about success, as a result of having examined it, investigating it, gone into it and looking at it, it stops. And what then is left is that caring, and that caring is in the now. And so I told this old man that being in the now means just understanding successful life, and not success as we know it, which is a result of conditioning, but success for what it actually means, which is to come close to. And being in the now means come close to life, and the only way you can come close to life is by seeing the truth, is by standing apart or standing alone from that imitation, conformity, and lack of love and ruthlessness of the society, and to just see it for what it is. And when you're able to see it, you automatically come to the now. Now, this old man was obviously not very happy about it, because he thinks that he has been in the now for so long as a result of having suppressed his desires or lived a certain way that the gurus and mahatmas have told him. And he asked me a very simple question. He said, "Where did you learn this from?" And that question to me sums up why none of the 7 billion people on this planet, except for a few, are not able to live in the now. Where did you learn this from? That question is so important to us as to what are you quoting, because we learned success from someone, we learned our religion from someone, we learned our nationality from someone, we even learned what gender we belong to someone, we learned our knowledge from someone, we solve our problems through referring to a book by someone else. If we have to communicate, we have learned a certain language from someone else. Everything that exists in your life, from the clothes that you wear, from the mic that you use, from the camera that you look in, to the person that you interact with, it's someone else. It's learned from someone else. And this question of where did you learn from basically means, if I've learned it from someone else, that someone else is a person, authority, book, figurehead, religion, God, whatever you may call it, exists in the past. If that person knows something, you also learn from someone which is in the past, and that chain of events will continue, and we will basically realize that this question, where did you learn it from, has reference to ages and years of ancient history. So where did you learn this from is a question that keeps us in this pattern of society, conformity, imitation, and it's very difficult to break it. And I was pointing out to this man that, listen, your question itself is the root cause of not being in the now. Where did you learn it from? A far better question, or a far better way to being, would be, can I just cut that question out? Because whatever I've learned from someone else has led to a world or a society which is absolutely bloody ruthless. So what value of that learning and knowledge and scriptures and religion and whatever else that you may call it has had? I'm not saying it's all bad or good, no judgments passed, but can I stop it and just look at the thing for what it actually is? Can I look at life for what it is? Can I look at success for what it is, which basically means come close to? And when I'm able to do it, what I was telling this guy is, you would realize that you neither need to pursue or suppress anything. You just need to see it. And when you're able to see it, you're able to come to a position of care, concern, and love. And when you're in that position, when you actually genuinely come to care and concern, you automatically are in the now. There is nothing to do. All that is required to be done is to see the reality, and the rest is absolutely effortless because it just happens.